Peace. What's good, y'all? I'm Hawaii Mike, and this is the Miseducation of Mary Jane, presented by Chef for Hire. And at Chef for Hire, our goal is for you and everybody to have a higher understanding of self, a higher understanding of the plant, a higher understanding of your symbiotic relationship between the two. And that's what's going to be the subject of today's episode. So we're diving into one of the most important truths about this plant, and honestly, about life in general. The truth is simple. Cannabis is a solo journey. Life is a solo journey, and the two are connected. See, we're all humans, and being that we're 99% genetically identical, but that little 0.1% makes the biggest waves. See, that's where all the magic lives. That's why we look different, we sound different, we respond differently, we heal differently, we react differently. And that 1% is why cannabis hits everybody differently. So the human difference. Let's start with life, because cannabis is just one expression of a bigger pattern. Think about food. Two people, you and I, we could take the same bite of a mango and have two completely different experiences. One of us might be like, yo, this is sunshine. This is awesome. Other one's like, I don't know, this is too sweet. And that's just our genetics. See, taste receptors, gut chemistry, past experiences, it's all programming. It all shapes how that fruit hits the system. Music, same thing. A song can crack us open emotionally, and the next person, not feeling it at all. We're hearing the same stories, the same notes, but receiving different messages. Even how we perceive colors, the world, colors, smells, people's energy, that's all filtered through our individual nervous systems. And so the experience are all different. Like, think about it. We're all tuned like instruments. We're just not tuned the same. Like, when we get into cannabis, it's wild to me that the industry tries to act like we should all feel the same from the same product. Like, your experience is going to mirror the budtender's experience. Like, you can just slap a label on a jar, throw some fancy words on it, and boom, that's your experience. Nah, it doesn't work that way. Like, really, most of the time, it's the power of your mind determining your experience, or not necessarily determine the full experience, but guiding you down that pathway of what you think the effects are going to be. Like, that's placebo. It's literally how, like, every drug is tested. It has to beat our minds. So even when it comes to this, we can shape our experience. Your mind promotes how you the effects take place, and so that's how you feel. So the science behind the solo journey is where we get into some biology. See, every single person, and really mammal on this planet, has an endocannabinoid system. That ECS is the body's natural network that interfaces not just with cannabis, but with every other system in our body. That's why the warnings that come with cannabis are always like, don't operate heavy machinery, you might get sleepy. Or think about all the things that you use cannabis for: pain, sleep, appetite, inflammation, right? Those aren't all the same systems that create that, you know? So you have to think about this. The goal for our endocannabinoid system, the ECS, is just to create homeostasis for our internal environment, right? It wants to create balance for everything inside of here. And inside of here is self. Inside of here is where we need to do the most work. This is where we truly need to live, and it will help shape how we respond to the outer world in all of those external experiences. If we're happy, healthy, and strong internally, we do that inner work, and we utilize things like organic plant technologies like cannabis to help us. Yo, it's like, that's how we feel good. And so everybody's ECS has its own receptor density. sensitivity, enzyme speed, baseline endocannabinoid levels, neurotransmitter balance, right? Metabolic rate, and all of those will affect how cannabis makes you feel inside your body and your mind. Like, you guys have probably tested this before, right? You know, you could take an edible, take that same like 5, 10, whatever milligrams it is. One person feels relaxed, creative, other person feels nothing or everything and is flipping out because they're so sensitive. That's biology, but that's our individual response, our individuality. Even something as simple as, I think it's called the CYP450 enzymes, the liver pathways that break down THC, they vary by person to person. Some people can not process it and won't even feel edibles, right? That's where the nano works, and that helps them on that side at least feel a little something if they're taking it orally, like in a drink or in an edible. Some people break down THC super fast, some slow and unevenly. So it's not like like how the release or how people are affected or how long. That's why, again, I'm going to keep saying this over and over. This is an individual journey. It is up to you to figure out how to really work with this plant, right? Because we can all smoke the same thing. We could take the same doses, and it's a completely different journey. And those effects and those kinds of things are even before we start talking about how we feel. What's our sleep quality? What are our stress levels? Are we hydrated? Hormones, gut health, what you ate that day. Whether you're in a good mood, a bad mood, or no mood and you're just disassociated. How safe you feel in your environment. All of those things affect your experience. This is why cannabis education should never be take this and you're gonna feel this. It should be take this and learn yourself first and see how you respond personally. Take notes, because the morning might be different than the night. Like, smoke the same strain a whole week or eat the same edibles for a whole week at different times, at different parts of the day when you're doing different things, and watch how you feel. Trust, where focus goes, energy flows in our regular when we're non-affected by any kind of psychoactive substances that we put into our body. We choose our emotions. We choose how we feel throughout the day. So that same way, that same power that you have, add cannabis into it, it's gonna affect that as well. So the reason I'm doing this is because there's a lot of marketing out there. There's also a lot of old information that is passé. And basically what's happening right now is the marketing is misinforming you to sell you a product. Like, that's it. You know, and I'm not saying everybody's lying. Don't jump out the boats. Calm down. Keep your shirts on. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there is a lot of information that is put on these products to just sell them, to market them. Every company, every brand that does consumer packaged goods does this, right? But we are in an industry that is highly regulated, and we are not able to do the necessary research for this plant. The reason I'm stressing this is because we don't have that information. And from my understanding and the information that is out there and the myths that have been busted, this whole experience that you're having, especially when you're talking about your health, physical and mental, how this plant affects you, how you use it, and when you use it intentionally, again, it's personal to you. And so I just really want you to embrace that idea and not get caught up in the marketing. Because for decades, and longer than we've been alive, almost 100 years, cannabis was demonized. It was like underground because we had to. But then when initial legalization hit, it was medical. So stores became dispensaries. Dispensaries distribute and dispense medical products and prescriptions. When adult use came, instead of us changing and saying, all right, this is a retail store, we still called them a dispensary. And whether y'all believe this or not, psychologically, these definitions stick into our minds and they become part of the experience. So if we're telling somebody to go to a dispensary, if you go to a Dwayne Reed, that is a dispensary, right? Nobody, you don't need help at a Dwayne Reed. You're going in there knowing what you want. So you're going to go tell them, I need a prescription. I'm going to pick this up. Or I need something I have a certain ailment. How can you help me do this? Otherwise, I'm just going to grab what I need and I'm out. That shouldn't be how we shop for cannabis. This should be a more of a consultation. This should be more of you developing a relationship with your dispensary, understanding, maybe even developing relationships with the cultivators and certain brands that work better for you. And again, going back to it, journaling. Before I go too far down that line, I want to go back here and start talking. So instead of training the staff to be retail sales and sell the products, right? Bud tenders are taught to regurgitate marketing presentations, information given to them by the brands, along with some other education and things of that nature that, depending on the store, they're going to give these bud tenders, also depending on the bud tender themselves and how much they want to be educated, right? But if they're just regurgitating the information that's taught to them, which is marketing, then is that really educating the consumers? And if you go into a dispensary and the staff is all behind the counter, where's my interaction with the staff? Like, how am I getting my education? How am I getting my help? And that is something we need to look at on a retail level, because are we truly educating, or are we just telling them enough to sell them a product and get them to come back and keep buying? That sounds like our healthcare system, right? Which we don't want to do. We want people to, again, this plant is healing. This plant has been on this planet and is literally like a lock and key for us. But just like you have an individual lock to your home, we don't all have the same locks to our doors. It's a different lock. How to get into your home, how your home is kept is different than everybody else. And if you get what I'm trying to say, I'm trying to use different analogies to get y'all to understand this is your journey, nobody else's. The marketing is cool. But again, remember, it's just marketing, right? People are trying to get you to buy products. I mean, look at what is it, Spotify, right? Look at the mood-based playlists that they have. You're going in there, music, but you're already telling your mind, this is music to sleep or relax. So your mind is already preparing for that. That is the beginning of the placebo. So if you're taking information from a brand and just reading it, a brand can have the same strain and it's going to be two different things that they're saying, because they're talking from their perspective of their brand and their ethos and who they are, right? Some of that might resonate with you, some of it might not. Again, the point is to get beyond the veil of the marketing and really create that true relationship with the plant. So you have that, right? So again, the education became marketing. Not through the truth, not through biology, not experience all the time, just marketing, right? Like, we're still in effect-based stuff. We're still saying indica puts you in the couch. Sativa gives you energy. And again, y'all can argue with me about this till the blue in the face. They are agricultural terms. We got a whole episode coming on this, but just go do some research. Go check out Abstracts Tech Lab. They got white papers on all of this. It's every Leafly, every site has debunked this, yet we are still pushing this because cognitive dissonance and willful ignorance. We say things like, oh, that's what the customer understands. That's the information. No, that's called willful ignorance. We are lying to people doing that if we know, because at the end of the day, even if it was true, everything's a hybrid. Everything has been hybridized this time. I still have not seen a land race, right? And even if it's that land race, test it out. Does it make you sleepy if it's in 100% indica, right? And I'm not going to go into this right now because, again, I got a whole episode on that. But again, you are placeboing yourself in believing this. I have done it to people throughout my years, 30, 40 years of selling trees. I have told people, oh, I need a sativa. Here, bro. They believe you, and then all of a sudden they're fine. So again, it is, to me, it's so dangerous And I'm so curious to why everybody is just okay with being like, I know it's not true, but that's what they know. So again, how the fuck is that education? That's not education. If you know something isn't true, but you're letting people think it's still true, explain to me, how is that education? It's not. We got to get past this. We all have to get past this. We all have to come together and work through this shit. Let's change the game around this, right? Because we create these myths and they're so reinforced, but science is breaking them down. And so, again, we haven't been able to research this. And, the truth is, our internal chemistry is what's going to decide the ride. Even this, right? I'm sure most of y'all watching this have smoked a strain. Felt one way, it was incredible. Smoked it the next day, and you didn't feel the same way. That's because of all the other things that go into the experience matter. It's not just the information that's on the label of the jar. Yeah, y'all see I get passionate about this part because it's like, it's frustrating to have one-on-one conversations, to do this research and get information and talk to people who have conducted all kinds of, research around this, and still watch everybody just lie. It's baffling to me. And I know I'm gonna get some heat from this, and I know I'm gonna get some pushback from this, and that's fine. But what I'm gonna do is stand 10 toes down on this because this is what I believe. And if y'all can prove it wrong, please, 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 please educate me. I am all for it. I am not resistant to any kind of information coming my way. If y'all can tell me anything different about that, please do. I don't want to hear like, oh, but usually it's true. Oh, if it's leaning this way, nah. Because even the tests that y'all are looking at as far as the labs aren't even correct all the time. 5 different labs will test the same flower and get 5 different results. So how are we even standing on that part? You know what I'm saying? So let's think about parallels with other experiences and things that we help, because it'll help you understand that, it's easy, right? 2 people walk into a room. One person feels safe, the other person feels anxious. It's the same room. What's the difference? Different nervous systems, different experiences, right? 2 people hear a song. One person feels nostalgic, the other's annoyed because they hate that song. Same sound, different emotional archive. 2 people eat spicy food. One sweats, panics, I can't do this is crazy. The other one's like, bro, this is mild, you're tripping. Same heat, same spice, different biology. And cannabis is exactly the same way. Like I said, we could smoke the same joint. We could all cipher, get 20 of us in a cipher. Everybody's vibing, chilling. Yo, this is great. But that great to you is different, because one person might be like, yo, this shit is awesome. Other people is like overthinking life decisions and anxiety through the roof, because we are all different. That 0.1% of our DNA holds, I think, billions of different potential, maybe it's high millions, but whatever, of different versions, right? From how your body looks, from your skin color, your eye color, your hair color, how you, allergies, how you respond to drugs, both medicines as well as plant medicine, is everything, right? So it's the individuality of self expressing itself. We're unique in that way, right? And so we have to figure out, again, how to remove a lot and unlearn a lot of the things we've been taught in the industry and open ourselves up to constantly learning, because we're going to be learning about this plant for a long time because we're so restricted on how we can research it. I also believe this plant will continuously evolve. What I've been told from a lot of healers and growers is that if you have an ailment, either you should grow your own flowers or the person growing the flowers should have the same ailment, because the plant is going to try to heal anything it's around. That's why if you think about when it grows naturally outdoors, right? It reciprocates information, nutrients, everything back into the soil. This is why they didn't want us using hemp over cotton. Cotton depletes the soil. You got to rotate the crops. This regenerates the soil. It makes it good. It's cheaper to grow. It grows faster than cotton. It's less expensive, right? But then they can't manipulate the industry, so they use it for control. So this is an incredible plant, y'all. Like, let's talk about some of the things that make your cannabis experience unique. So let's talk about the big factors. But again, we're going to get into a lot of this stuff later. What are the main things, right, that make us feel the effects? The plant chemistry, right? We all know this. The THC, the cannabinoids, the minor cannabinoids, the terpenes, and how they all work together, the flavonoids. But the terpenes to us are a major component, and we're going to dive really deep into that one in a later episode. Genetics, the different types of genetics, and now especially the different types of crosses and how they affect. We haven't even done research on that. Like, you know, what if you put something that's super gassy with something that's super candy, and do they have different effects, right? You know, if you start to mix levels of terpenes in different ways, can you do that? Like, we haven't even got to that point. But there's a huge, you know, of obviously affecting the way things are hybridized. Your personal tolerance, how often you consume, how long you've been consuming for. What is the baseline health of your endocannabinoid system? Does your CB1 receptors work better than your CB2 receptors? Do your CB2 receptors work? And that's why when you smoke, you don't feel anything, but when you eat edibles, you're great, right? Your environment, the energy, the vibes, the people you're around, the lighting, the noise, all of that influences experience. Now, this is one we're going to get into in a later date as well. And I think it's super important, but I want you to like kind of pin this one up there, because this is something we don't talk about in cannabis, but we talk about this in psychedelics. But yet cannabis is psychoactive, right? Mindset, set and setting, right? So we just said environment, which is your setting, right? But when your mind is cluttered, cannabis can amplify the clutter, the anxiety. If you're not releasing things and working through traumas and other just personal issues you may have, cannabis may make you feel like you're anxious, but what it's actually doing is putting up a mirror and saying, yo, this is some shit you gotta work on, bro. Like, so when your heart is open, cannabis influences that too. So think about your mindset when you're going to your experience. Think about your setting, your environment. And then also the different consumption different consumption methods. Inhalation, smoking, right? Versus edibles. Smoking, you could take bong ribs, you could smoke out of a pipe, you could roll joints. Are you throwing grabba in there? Is grabba or tobacco or other things affecting your experience as well? Obviously, I just said edibles, so you could eat, but there's also, you know, beverages. Are you eating regular edibles? Are you using nano? Topicals? Like, there's so many different ways. It's really endless. The only way I don't see us being able to participate with cannabis is really just what our inspiration comes up with, what our creativity, like what can we imagine? Otherwise, I think there's endless amounts of ways, but they all are different paths in the body. So you have to figure out which is best for you, or which ones are best at which time, right? Because sometimes, you know, I just might want an edible to just, you know, knock me out. Or I might want a lower dose edible to be my baseline and then smoke a little bit. And then that just kind of keeps me for a certain amount of hours, right? We'll talk about how to kind of use different methods in different ways and at different times, how we look at them. And eventually, you know, we'll probably bring guests on and things of that nature. Your body at that moment. Did you sleep well? Are you well rested? Are you stressed? Are you hungry, or did you eat already? Are you dehydrated? Like, think about the eating one. We started Chef for Hire because the joke was you either smoke and go eat, or you eat and go smoke, right? So there's something automatically with that. With me doing 75 hard, my challenge was to not snack a lot at night and get the munchies, right? I wanted to see if I could smoke and not snack. And what I found for me personally is it's a mental thing. The munchies, while most cannabis, a lot of it will give you an appetite. How you respond to that is your choice and is up to you, right? It doesn't have to, but what happens is if we give the energy of saying, really believing, like cannabis makes me hungry, bro, trust me, you're gonna get a crazy appetite. If you're like, oh no, this is cool, but I'm good and don't think about it that way, you're not even gonna think about snacking. I tested this shit out constantly when I was doing 75 hard, and I didn't break at all. I didn't even crave. So we can rewire. Again, this is all neurotransmitters. This is, how our thoughts are connecting, and cannabis helps with a lot of that, right? Are you dehydrated? If you're dehydrated and you smoke, you're going to feel different. Are you already tense or relaxed or excited? Again, all these things are going to shift your internal chemistry, which is already going to give you a way you feel. But these factors combine differently for every human. And that's why cannabis is personal. Cannabis is not one size fits all. I don't even know if it's one size fits you, which is what I had written here. But I'm like, is it one size fits you, or is it something that we have to constantly look at and adapt to and change and alter, right? I don't, because again, most of y'all will say, if I smoke the same strain all the time, I'm going to build a tolerance. I'm not going to feel the same, right? So maybe there isn't a one size. Maybe when I'm working out in a certain way, or I'm certain challenge that I'm looking at in life, maybe I can't smoke and maybe I have to do edibles. Maybe I only smoke at night and that changes. Maybe I wake and bake always. So I think it's constantly taking inventory of self and tuning in. How do I feel now? How am I feeling? Do I need to adjust? And don't just do that with cannabis. Do that with everything in your life. Like, we're at the end of the year right now. Like, let's start thinking about how we can kind of change. So now you guys might be going, well, how do I start this solo journey? And the point of this episode, and really the heart of this whole series, is to empower you to learn your patterns. Not the marketing, not believe all of the myths and everything that's been told to us, not your friend's experience, not even your budtender's experience, not the YouTube, TikTok strain reviews, just you. And so journaling, I think, is a great way. Journaling about your experience is a great way to understand how this plant affects me in all the different ways and strains and consumption methods, terpenes. I mean, there's so many different, parts of the plant. And so a great place to start when you're doing this is when you're starting your journal is, well, what did I eat today? How am I feeling? What's my intention for this session? Do y'all do that? I think you do it and you don't think about it. I think you don't say it out loud, but there's an internal thought that goes, I just want to chill. Or, oh man, I'm about to go eat. Well, let's get my appetite right. Think about those things, right? Then start thinking about, ask yourself, well, what actually works for me? Does smoking a whole joint work for me? Does taking a quick bong rip work for me? Does a dab work for me? Does an edible at 5 milligrams, 10 milligrams, 20, 30, 40, 50 work for me? What works for me? And also when, right? So after work, before work, the weekend when I'm not working, or if I'm a creative and I have my own schedule and I'm an entrepreneur, you got to figure all of this out. How does this work? So that's why asking the questions from others is great to understand their experience and just to learn what other people are doing. But don't take it as gospel that's going to say this is how you're going to feel too. It just doesn't work that way. And so what other things? What environments are good for me or supports a good experience? How does my body respond to different methods? Again, do I like smoking better than edibles? Do I like a dab? Do I like a bong rip? Whatever that might be. What does my mind do after I consume? Do I completely just drop out? Does my mind start racing and start thinking creatively? And I start thinking about all these new ideas, right? Cannabis is a tool for healing, for creativity, for connection to self, to community, to wellness. And when you treat it like a conversation with yourself, you are now in partnership with it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the symbiotic relationship I was speaking about before. So, in closing, today's lesson is really just about recalibration. Cannabis is personal. We have to recalibrate our minds and our approach to working with this plant. Your endocannabinoid system is personal. Your nervous system is personal. Your emotional world is personal. Your biology is personal. Your health is personal. Your healing is personal. Your relationship with life is personal. Remember, you are the lead actor in your movie. If there is one thing I want you to take from this series, is this journey belongs to you. No one else can think, feel, or experience how you do, or tell you how to. So we're going to keep diving deeper. We're going to keep breaking down the science, the culture, the myths, the marketing, the truth, and find out how we can have the best relationship with this plant. Because the miseducation, the cognitive dissonance, the willful ignorance, it's got to end. And the end of that starts with beginning to relearn and understand knowledge of self. So again, I'm Hawaii Mike. This has been the Miseducation of Mary Jane, presented by Chef for Hire. Tap in for the next episode. And if you like what we're doing here, make sure y'all hit the likes, comment, subscribe, and share it out. Y'all know what to do in this social media world. Love y'all. Remember, let's communicate unity. Let's build community, because unity is our capital and we are stronger together. And we always will be. Love y'all. Peace.